Hello everyone. The topic which we'll be covering today is turning process. Now what is turning? Now it is one of the basic manufacturing process of metal cutting. So what is turning? It is removal of metal from the outer diameter of a rotating cylindrical workpiece. Means we are reducing the diameter to obtain the required diameter. So turning is used to reduce the diameter up to a specified dimension, and with that also to produce a smooth finish on the metal. Often we require different diameter, so the workpiece will be turned so that at different places we can have different diameter, and the operation on which machine will be carrying out is called a lathe machine. So this is an image of a lathe machine. We can also call it center lathe machine. So the main part which is to be noted are: first, this is the headstock. This complete part is the headstock, the top of the machine. Then at the end of the machine there is tailstock. Okay. Inside this tailstock there is a drill chuck. Inside this tailstock we can put a chuck or dead center as per requirement. This is used to support long workpiece during turning operation. If the workpiece is long, during turning it can buckle and we will not get proper finish. So to hold the workpiece from both the side, we use this tailstock. Then there is chuck. Okay, the chuck is mounted on the spindle. So this chuck is used to hold the workpiece. The workpiece will be held between this chuck. The Now to hold the workpiece we have chuck, but to hold the tool we have tool post. The tool post will be used to hold the tool. So to hold workpiece we have chuck. To hold tool we have tool post. Now this complete part is called carriage. This complete part. This carriage is used for the movement of the tool. This carriage is used for movement of the tool. Now if we need to have movement in horizontal direction, in this direction, we will use this carriage hand wheel. This is the hand wheel to move this carriage in horizontal direction. If we want to move it in perpendicular direction, in this direction, then we have this cross slide. See, this is the cross slide to have movement in perpendicular direction. If we want movement in any other direction apart from horizontal and perpendicular, or at any angle, then we will use this compound wheel. This is for movement at any angular direction. Okay, so this compound wheel is resting on compound rest. So above carriage there is compound rest, and above that there is tool post. Now in this headstock there are different switches. These switches are used to control speed and feed. Then from here also we can control feed. Here we can change the gear. So different, all the switches are present in the headstock. So what are the important parts? Headstock, tailstock, carriage, carriage hand wheel, cross slide, compound slide, chuck, and tool post. So these are the important parts of the lathe machine, and then this switch is used to start and stop the machine. Okay, so one by one we will see each component. So this is the headstock. So this part is the headstock complete part. Now H2 and H3, these are the speed change mechanism. Depending on the requirement, we'll select the speed. This H4 is the spindle on which chuck is mounted. To hold the chuck, it is mounted on this spindle, and also it has a hole to accept long work or bar stock. If the workpiece is very long, then it can also rest inside the spindle. And this H10, this part is used to change gears. Then tailstock. See, this is the tailstock. In the tailstock, there is a spindle, and on this spindle we can put different arrangement. We can put a drill chuck, or we can put a dead center, other tooling. Now this part, now this is the bed for lathe. This is the bed. So the lower part of this tailstock, its casting fits inside the bed so that it can slide longitudinally. Whatever position we want, at that position we can lock it so that it does not move from the desired position with this lock. So this is the foundation of lathe on which everything is mounted. Headstock, tailstock, and carriage, everything is mounted on the bed. This is the work area. Then this part is complete, is the carriage. It holds a tool bit, move longitudinally or perpendicularly under the control of operator. So to move longitudinally, we will use this hand wheel. To move perpendicularly, we will use this cross slide. So manual movement by hand wheel, and there is also one switch. If we don't want manual movement, if we on this switch, then it will move automatically in longitudinal direction. So what does it comprise? A top casting. See, above the carriage there is a casting on which the compound wheel rests. Okay. Top casting, saddle, side casting, and the apron. This part is called the apron. Tool post. See here, number 1 is the tool post. This is the tool post which hold the tool. So the tool bit is mounted in the tool post. Cross slide. This is the cross slide. This is used to move perpendicular to the axis. Okay. So when we are doing facing operation, we will be using cross slide. So for turning operation, we'll be using carriage hand wheel, but for facing operation, we'll be using cross slide for facing and also for cut off operation. Compound rest. Now this compound rest part is above the carriage on which compound is resting. So, and what does above the compound rest, there is tool post. So what does compound rest do? It hold the tool post for cutting tool. Okay, and also it can allow movement in different direction other than longitudinal and perpendicular. See, it's mounted to the cross slide and can rotate for angle cut. If you want cut at any angle, we will use this compound rest and compound wheel. Then there is this feed screw. This provide for the forward and reverse motion depending on the direction. And there is also lead screw H7. If you want to move at higher speed, we will use H8. If you want to move at very smaller speed, we will use lead screw. Then in threading, we need to work at very lower speed, so we can use this screw for screw cutting. So it does not engage with the nut completely. It only engage for half nut. So to provide smaller speed. Now how to hold the work inside the lathe. So there are different work holding tool. So first is the chuck, self-centering chuck. It has 3 jaws. Okay. So whenever our workpiece is circular or hexagonal cross section, we can use this chuck. It automatically center the workpiece. Okay. Now if the workpiece is very thin, we can also use a 6 jaw. Normally we use 3 jaw, but if the workpiece is thin, we can also use a 6 jaw. So all these are self-centering chuck. Then there is independent or 4 jaw chuck. It has 4 jaw, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if the workpiece is not concentric, circular or hexagon, if the shape is irregular, we will use independent 4 jaw chuck, square workpiece or any irregular workpiece. Now if the workpiece does not have any shape, or we need to machine up to an existing from a proper reference, we can use this face plate. See, 3 jaws and 3 square slot. By inserting the key, how we can close and open? By inserting the key. And speedy centering, it automatically center the workpiece, but it cannot hold large size of the workpiece, because see inside you can see the hole. So it can only hold workpiece up to this diameter. Then there is 4 jaw, hold square, rectangular and irregular shape. Initially to set the workpiece, it takes time, because we need to set it accordingly depending on the shape. So it includes 4 independent jaw. Independent because they are not, the jaws are not dependent on each other. In 3 jaw, if you close one, all 3 will close, but here if you close one, only one will close. So here we need to close each key separately. Each key jaw we have to close separately, not together. Then this is how faceplate look like. It's a flat round plate that thread to headstock spindle. We can fix it in the spindle. So when the workpiece is not irregular workpiece, which cannot be held by chuck, because the chuck hold 3 jaw chuck only can hold circular workpiece. But if the shape is not proper, not regular, we will use a face plate. So in this way, using this slot, we can hold any workpiece. So these are the slot. So the shape will be fixed on the slots. And any slot we need, we can use the slots for the workpiece. Then also there is collet, steadies and mandrel. So this is the collet. Okay, so we can put the workpiece inside the collet, and this collet will be put inside sleeve, and then it will be fixed to the chuck. This is also for mass production. We can just fix the collet, and just changing the workpiece inside the collet, we can machine it for different sizes. Then there is steadies like this here. If the workpiece is very long, so to support it at somewhere in the middle, we can use this steady, so that it does not get buckle. This we will put somewhere in middle, so that it will, from middle it should not vibrate. Then there is also mandrill. This is for concentric turning or existing bore. See the mandrel, you can see here, these are the mandrel. So this will hold the workpiece into the face plate. See, this is collet. So this is the slot. So we'll put the workpiece inside this slot. Outer portion is tapered, which can go inside. So outer portion is, collet is tapered, so different workpiece can be put inside. So this is steady. So the down part will be fixed on, will be rest on the bed, and depending on the size, we can tight it from the required place. It is clamp on the lathe bed from here, and 3 jaws are there. So depending on the size, we can clamp it at different places. So all jaws can radially move with independent screw. And this is mandrel. See, this is the workpiece. Okay, so mandrel will be put inside the workpiece for hollow part. This is for tapered surface. This mandrel is tapered. This is straight mandrel. Then there is cone shape mandrel. Okay, so solid mandrel, gang mandrel. If more than one mandrel, three workpiece are there, we can use this type of mandrel, and cone mandrel. So these are the different work holding devices. Then there are some more spigots and centers. Okay, so this you can see is spigot. So like faceplate also, we can fix it at different place. We can use different slots to arrange it properly. Then there is center. This is now if we want to turn the complete length. Okay, if we put some line inside the chuck, that part will not be able to machine. So if we want to do machining for the complete length, then we can use center, live or dead. Live center will be put inside the chuck. Dead center will put inside the tailstock. So for accurate concentric turning of several diameter or for taper turning. So these are the live and dead. Okay, this we can put in the tailstock, and this we can put inside the chuck. So these are live, this is dead. So work to be turned between center must have center drilled. So for this the workpiece should have hole at both the side. At both the end it should have a hole so that it can rest on the center. Okay, so during cutting it provide a support. So most common we have solid Morse taper 60-degree shank and steel with carbide tip. Okay, so here we can adjust and lubricate occasionally. So these are the different work holding tool. Now whenever we cut the metal, what are the variable involved? So always there is one cutting speed. Okay, at what speed the workpiece will rotate, that is the cutting speed. Define the speed at which work move with respect to tool, measured in meter per minute. So in 1 minute, how much how much the tool is moving. Okay, so that is how we determine cutting speed. And there is feed rate, distance the tool travel during one revolution. When the workpiece complete one revolution, during that period, how much distance does the tool travel? So it is measured in mm per minute or mm per revolution. So our surface finish is mostly dependent on these two factors, because if the cutting speed is very less, then we will not be able to cut properly, and if the cutting speed is very more, then there is lossage of power. So we should have a economical cutting speed which can provide good surface finish also, and we can save power also. And also feed, if you are moving very fast, we will not get proper surface finish, and if you are moving very slow, it will result in loss, wastage of time, because the machine will run for a larger time, wastage of power. So a proper cutting speed and feed should be selected to get proper cutting surface finish also, and to save power and electricity also. However, there are other factors also which determine how much to select the cutting speed and feed. The other factor are material of the tool. If the material is very hard, we need high cutting speed. The material is soft, we can machine its lower cutting speed. Rigidity and size and condition of the lathe, and also the depth of cut, how much depth we require. Okay, and the condition of the lathe. So depending on all this factor, we will decide the cutting speed and the feed. To calculate the proper spindle speed, divide the desired cutting speed by the circumference. So to calculate, how will you calculate the spindle, at what speed the spindle should rotate? So divide the desired cutting speed, what is the standard cutting speed, with the circumference. So this will give you the cutting speed. And the feed rate we can change, we can experiment with different feed rate, we can move fast, we can move slow, and see the quality of finish. So at what feed rate we are getting proper finish, that will be the required one. Depth of cut, how much the cutter is inserting in the workpiece. Okay, before to distance the cutter is fed into the workpiece. Now this also depend on the lathe condition, material, hardness, speed, feed, amount of material. So depending on all this, we will select the depth of cut, because if the material is hard, if we try to insert for a larger depth, it can damage the tool. And if the material is very soft, then also it can break the tool. So depending on material condition, everything, we will select the depth of cut. Now we also need to remember that the cutting is happening on both the sides, not only on one side. So if you want to remove 1 mm, we must know that the workpiece will be removed by 2 mm. So based on that, we should determine our depth. See, if we need to cut 1 mm of depth, but if we take this 1 mm, so it will also be removed from this side, so it will be 2 mm. So appropriate cut depth should be taken. Okay, this all should be kept in consideration. So the rotating speed is the cutting speed, the horizontal movement is the feed, and the vertical movement is the depth. So how we can calculate the different parameter? So for RPM, we can calculate using cross section cutting speed into 1000 divided by pi d. So the standard cutting speed into 1000 divided by the diameter. This will give you the RPM of the spindle. So RPM, CS cutting speed, and D diameter. So example, what spindle speed is required to finish turn 300 meter per minute, 100 meter diameter aluminum alloy. So what data is given? RPM is given, diameter is given, pi value is known. Cutting speed is given 300 meter per minute, diameter is given. Okay, so RPM will be 300 into 1000 upon 100 into pi. So this will give you 955 RPM. Now there are different operations which can be performed on a lathe machine. So first, when the tool moves in horizontal direction, it is straight turning. When we are machining at any angle, it is taper turning. So for straight turning, we'll be using carriage hand wheel. For taper turning, we'll be using compound hand wheel and end facing at the end of the workpiece. Then there is shoulder facing. If we need to have steps like this, so at this point we can have shoulder facing. And if we need to face the complete end, we need to face the complete end, and that is facing. Okay, so complete facing. If only end part, end facing. If we need to have steps, then shoulder facing. Then there is also grooving. This is the grooving option, making a groove between the workpiece. Form turning. The required shape we want, our tool will be of that shape. So we'll be machining in one pass with the required shape directly. Okay, parting off, separating a workpiece, separate cutting and removing this part of work, separating this workpiece. Then threading, making thread on the workpiece, and knurling, imprinting the impression on the workpiece. So this all operation can also be done on the lathe machine. So we can see a video how different operations are carried out. So this is how facing operation will be facing at the end of the workpiece. Facing is an operation which provide flat surface. Facing is used to reduce the length, whereas turning is used to reduce the diameter. So this is a chuck, 1, 2, 3, 3-jaw chuck. We'll put the workpiece inside the chuck. This is the tool post, this is the tool. With the help of cross slide, we'll have perpendicular movement and facing operation will be done. Okay, this is the cutting motion, this is the depth motion, this is the tool post. Now have a look at turning operation. Chuck, workpiece. Tool, tool post. Tool post is resting on compound rest, which is resting on carriage. In turning, we are reducing the diameter. For the moment in turning, we'll use carriage and wheel because we need horizontal movement. For facing, we need perpendicular movement, so we will use cross slide. See, now feed will move in feed direction horizontally. So this moment will be acquired with the help of carriage hand wheel. Okay. Then knurling. This is the knurling tool. We will just imprint this impression on the tool. So we fix the workpiece between the knurling tool and start the machine. So whatever impression is there, that will be knurled on the workpiece. See, the workpiece has also taken the impression of the knurling tool. This is knurling operation. This is used to provide grip. If we need a grip on the workpiece, we do it by knurling operation. Grooving, making a slot between the workpiece, this type of slot. See, just making a slot in the necking. We can also call this as necking. We can have a square, round, any shape. Okay, so to have this type of groove, we'll use a grooving tool. When we need to fit ring in the workpiece, then we use the grooving tool. Okay, so all this is obtained with the help of grooving tool. See this groove inside. But after the thread, there is a groove. So this all is obtained by grooving tool. This is center drilling operation. So it will automatically drill at the center of the workpiece. So in the tailstock, we'll put a drill chuck with a drill. Reaming operation, same. Instead of drill, we can use a reaming tool. So all the drilling operation also we can perform in lathe machine. Parting of, see, separating a workpiece. We'll cut it from the middle and separate the workpiece. Okay, we have cut some part and separated it. So this is parting off. So these are the different operation which we can perform on lathe machine. Drilling, reaming, boring, taper boring, internal thread also we can make, internal forming. So see, this is how a tool holder look like. Normally we use single point cutting tool for cutting, but we can use different tool also. Like for knurling, we will use a different tool. So depending on the requirement, we can use different tool. Normally we use single point cutting tool. This tool will be fixed in the tool holder. See, single point tool. So what is the geometry of this? See, this is the edge where the cutting will be done. This is the cutting edge. The cutting will be done for this complete edge. So the inside part is the face. This is the nose. This is the cutting edge angle, front cutting edge angle, and this is the side cutting edge angle. Now this angle, if you draw a perpendicular here, this will be the clearance angle, and this is the rake angle. This is the rake angle. The cutting will be done here. The cutting will be done at this point. So this clearance is provided so that the remaining part does not get stuck on the workpiece. There should be some clearance between the workpiece and the tool. Only the cutting edge should perform the cutting. So this area has been given for clearance, and the chips, when we are cutting, chips will be produced. So this chip will travel between this rake angle. So this angle has been provided. So you can see here, this is for clearance, so that the complete surface should not collide with the workpiece. So this is the clearance, and after cutting, the chip will travel on the rake angle. So what are the important elements? Clearance angle, which define the flank surface. Two types of clearance angle are there, end and side. See, here is for side and one is for end. Okay. Both the end, one is for end, other is for side, on the back side. Okay, so side and end clearance angle, so that the workpiece does not collide with the tool does not collide with the workpiece. Clearance angle, end and side. Then cutting edge. Now cutting edge is also divided into two parts. One is the front cutting, which is the point, and one is the side cutting edge. So the cutting is done along the complete edge. See the point here. This is the point here. So this is the front cutting edge, and this is the side cutting edge, and these two cutting edge are joined with the help of nose. So these two are cutting edge. This is the front, this is the side, and these two are joined with nose. These two edges are separated by a tool point, which is known as nose angle. Now side cutting edge angle. See, this angle has been provided to determine, this angle will determine the entry of the tool. Okay, the more sharp, the more easy. The less the angle, the greater the angle, the less will be the sharpness, and it will take a little more power. So this side cutting angle determines the entry of the tool in the workpiece. It is also used so that directly, if the angle is very less, so all the load will come on the point. So it can also be used to reduce the sudden force when it enters on the point, because the force will be distributed along the edge. Now front cutting edge angle, this provide a clearance between the edge of the tool and the workpiece, because if that angle is not there, then the complete edge of the tool will collide with the workpiece, hence spoiling the finish. So there should be some clearance, so that after you have machined, the edge should not collide with the workpiece. So hence reducing the rubbing and friction. If they are colliding, it will also produce friction, it will spoil the finish, it will also require more power, it will also require more energy, heat will be generated. So to reduce the friction, we'll provide a little clearance so that the edge should not rub with the workpiece. And the nose angle, the required texture depend on the nose angle, the types of finish. So this is how a turning cutting tool, this is the cutting edge. Okay, this is the side cutting or front cutting angle. So what are the properties of good cutting tool? It should be hard because it has to penetrate into the workpiece. So it should be hard and tough. It should be heat resistant because during cutting uh, too much amount of heat is generated. So if the tool is not heat resistant, the tool will get melt. So it should be heat resistant so that it does not get melt easily. Wear resistant. It should be hard and tough so that it can undergo operation for a larger period of time. It should not wear out easily. So what are the cutting tool material used? HSS, high speed steel, then carbide. We can use a carbide fixtures, cemented carbide, ceramide, ceramics, polycrystalline complex. So this all material we can use for cutting. Cubic bone nitride, diamond. Now diamond is the hardest of the material. So these are the different nose type. Round nose. For general cutting we can use a round nose. But if you want a very precise surface finish, we can use this type of finishing nose. Then roughing nose. See the angle. Okay, for finishing the angle is less. For general operation the angle is little more. For rough operation the angle is very big. Okay, and for facing we need a point angle. So these are all right cut tool for cutting from right side. Then there is also left cut tool. Same, only just the direction is opposite. Okay, this is to cut in left direction. See the shape here. So these are all left cut tool and this is right cut tool. Both are same, only the direction is different of the edges, direction of the edges. So whenever you're working in a lathe machine, make sure you are always away from the machine. Don't go too close to the machine. Don't put your don't put your finger in the machine while it is working. Always wear goggle because small amount of chips are generated and which are flying everywhere. So if anything goes in your eye, you can lose your eye. So always wear goggle. We should not have long hair or loose clothes because if anything get stuck in the machine, you can lose your hair or you can use your hand and anything. You can get hurt. Now, if possible, keep the guard before the chuck. Always use guard when the cutting speed is high. Now, where the process where large heat are involved, try to use coolant or lubricant. Okay, and never touch the cutting tool or the workpiece with hand. Okay? And while the machine is working, always whenever you need to do anything, first close the machine, then do the required task. Okay, and make sure that the work is properly balanced. It is properly tied. If it is not tied, it can come out. So make sure it is properly tied. And do not use your hand to apply brake. So let the machine stop by itself. And make sure the key is always kept away before running the machine. Set the tool on the workpiece center so that you can get proper finish. Workpiece center to prevent workpiece from climbing on the tool or cutting above the center. So make sure that the tool is properly aligned at the center. It should not be up and down to get proper finish. And make sure that the cutting tool, work holding are securely attached to the machine. Everything should be tight, nothing should be loose. So that's it for today's topic. Hope you all understand. Thank you.